Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So I think I may have died, gone to hell, and then returned when I found the TikToks for this video. I got into my sort of research mode, and for some reason, I was drawn towards people who are like professionals. And I think it's because there is this very dark fact that there's a lot of people on TikTok that do claim to be very educated or a professional or any of these different things to try to bolster what they're saying. And I think it's difficult for me to process just because I realize so many fat people may be looking to lose weight, or they may be looking towards getting something in order in their life, and then they see this. And I don't know why, like, I'm not usually a black pill type of person, but I felt kind of like a little hopeless, a little bit. And then I had to kind of snap out of it, and I'm like, okay, my peeps, they love it when I'm suffering through TikToks. That's your guys' favorite thing for me to do. So I'm like, whatever, we're going to do what the people want. I'm just going to suffer. But I will just say that app is crazy. Like, really crazy. And especially fat acceptance TikTok, it is like truly dark. So, come with me on this journey of what I found and let's talk about it, okay? So, this person, I believe, is a therapist. And that terrifies me beyond any level. But let's go ahead and hear what she has to say about weight loss, okay?
Even if I ate past the point of comfortable fullness for every single meal, my body still wouldn't magically become that much bigger than it is, and it goes both ways.
So, this is so completely, obviously false. It is proven hundreds of thousands, if not hundreds of millions of times. If you eat a lot, she's saying past being comfortably full for every single meal, you absolutely would gain weight. Full stop. Absolutely. So I don't even know how somebody who's supposedly educated can even make this claim, truthfully. The other thing that I really wanted to cover in this video is just I want to show you guys how much of an echo chamber this is. Like, I think they say things that are so insane and so like out of left field, and it's like fact, with such confidence. It's really incredible. And I know that if they were to say any of this in front of somebody, they would immediately get shut down, or at least questioned pretty much immediately. Imagine if they were saying this in a room full of 1,000 people, or a room full of 10,000 people, like an amphitheater or something. What do you think the response would be, right? Truly crazy. So let's listen to the rest of her argument.
Even if I try to eat as little as possible at every meal, my body still may not become drastically smaller.
If you try to eat as little as possible, then you will not lose weight if you eat as little as possible. I mean, I just this person is a professional. This person is a therapist, I'm pretty sure. Think about that. Think about somebody that's super morbidly obese going to her for help with either depression or with food noise or whatever, some food issue. Imagine if they have BED and they're going to her and she says that. How does that make you feel? I'm curious. Please tell me. Because for me, it was just like, holy crap. You know?
Telling people it's not okay to accept their natural size is like telling them it's not okay to accept their natural height.
So, she's comparing height to weight. Okay. So, of course, we're going to do the fear mongering here, right? So, I would just be so incredibly. I think if I were to go to her for therapy and she told me this, I think I would feel so incredibly hopeless. I think it would be one of the most soul sucking experiences to hear that I will always have to struggle the way that I've struggled, to hear that I was just dealt some kind of bad hand at life, and this completely treatable medical issue of supermorbid obesity that I have can never be addressed because it is a determination of my genetic fate. I think I would leave her therapy office drastically more depressed, unless if I was a very dumb person. And I will say that. I'm sorry. And I know that that's harsh, but I have to keep it real. Okay. Um, I think anybody with a shred of intelligence, if they went to her and she said this to them and they accepted it, they would become extremely depressed. The thing is that a lot of you guys who have never been fat, you don't understand and probably never will understand, thank God, literally how hard it is to be very, very, very fat. Every single task is difficult. Everything has to be adjusted, mitigated. It is as if you have to mitigate your way through life. And to be told that there's never any hope of that ending or never any hope of getting out of that, it is one of the most soul destroying things you can say to a person. The worst thing about it is that it's not true. So not only is it a soul destroying thing to tell somebody, but it is a lie, which is not just cruel, but I think it does beg the question of, I think even some people who don't believe in good and evil might question that one. I'll put it to you that way. Seems a bit evil to me, but anyways.
Are diverse. They always have been, they always will be.
So I do agree that there is some body diversity, but it's within a very narrow range. Realistically, healthy weight comes at a range. People have wider or narrower frames. People are taller or shorter. People, are male and female, right? So all those things go into play when it comes to what your weight should be or your overall size. But let's not act like, being 6'1" and 84 pounds is healthy or being 6'1" and 380 pounds is healthy. It's not. It's ridiculous. We know this. It comes very naturally to us. And I think a lot of these people, they have been brainwashed, indoctrinated into this ideology. And for a lot of us that are super morbidly obese and seeking to lose weight and get control over our health and our lives, we have to resist these types of arguments, which is another reason why I'm doing these videos a lot more. I think it's important to be a voice against this, and I'm going to continue to do that.
Why the fuck is it so hard to understand?
So I would say I don't understand how it's so hard for you to accept that calorie realism is a thing. But let's move on to this guy. So this guy, I did a pretty deep dive on his TikTok page, and he gives me the type of person where he will say whatever is popular. So he's one of those. So anything that's popular, anything that is within the established narrative of the time, whatever that may be. So if fat loss is popular, then he'll talk about fat loss. If fat acceptance is popular, then he'll talk about fat acceptance. But I find that he tries to just choose the overall most popular take and goes with it. And then he claims that he's not doing it for money, which I thought was interesting. In one of his TikToks, he claimed that he does it just because he wants to help people. So I will probably cover him more just because at some point, I don't know when I will again, but in my opinion, he is just a person that has zero principles. So absolutely zero. And will just say whatever's popular at any given moment. Literally. How you can tell is he's the kind of trainer, professional, whatever, where he will say that all dieting is bad, but then he'll say that veganism is superior. And if you say those two things, then you know that this person is a liar. Because veganism is one of the most restrictive diets to mankind. It is one of the most diet culture restrictive diets possible. And a lot of vegans are very proud of that fact. And he tries to like toe the line between both. But I'm just like, he is just saying whatever is popular at a given moment. He's the kind of person where you go to his page to hear something that you've heard 1,000 times but never follow. And then you comment and you go, yeah, that's so true. He's the kind of person where it's like you go on his page and he'll tell you how healthy something like raw broccoli is. So on my page, I would tell you, it's anti-thyroid. It's not going to help you lose weight. I think if you cook it to death, then it's probably okay. But if you were to eat it raw, it's not going to help you lose weight. So he would say, well, I have all these studies that prove this, right? But he's not going to clarify that it has to be cooked at all. And then somebody in his comment section is going to say, yeah, people who say broccoli is not good for your thyroid health, they're stupid, but they're never going to eat it. Because they're also listening to his advice about how diet culture is dumb. So they're never going to eat the broccoli, but they're going to comment about how great it is. That's his key demo. Okay? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and respond to this TikTok where he is essentially shaming a woman who is being brutally honest about obesity. So that's how I'm going to preface this, but let's go ahead and do it. Let's talk about it.
No woman has ever said, I can't wait to be fat. No woman wants to be the fat mom in the room. No.
I'm just going to keep it 100. I think that's true. I'm just saying. Maybe she's yelling. Maybe she's irritating him, his face. Huh? No woman has said that. Huh? No, I know so many women that say that they want to grow up to be fat and they want to be the fat mom there. I've known so many women that say that. Why is she saying this? You see this type of like weird echo chamber, or like, I think in his case, it's a performance of an echo chamber. It's really interesting. But do you see the face? Isn't it weird? That is so wild. So wild to me. But, by all means, you guys, if I have a lot of women in my audience, if you women want to be the fat wife, let me know, okay? Because he's really surprised. He's really shocked.
woman wants to be the fat wife. No woman wants to be the one covering up at a pool party or at the beach while your husband stares off at women who are in shape. No woman likes looking fat in pictures. Not a single woman likes being fat.
I would say that's probably true. So look at his face again. Look at his face. Look at it. Look at it. Oh, does that upset you, sir? Does that make you so mad? Oh my gosh. Does that upset you? Oh.
No, you don't like being fat.
Look at it. Look at the face. Look at it. Look at it.
Pretending and lying to yourself that you're okay being fat.
Oh my gosh, look, the face is getting more dramatic. He has to make it like more and more. Look at this sideshow character. Look at this. Look at this.
Just accepting it because you don't want to do the work to get unfat.
Well, aren't you a treat?
And aren't you so genuine with your massively in shape body, with your fat loss book behind you, and your musculature? So I want to see him gain weight then. That's what I want him to do. I want you to gain 200 pounds and then see if you're going to make that face. You know, that's all I want to say. By all means, go ahead. There is a special place in hell for people like this. I'm just going to say that. And I don't mean that in a literal, like, spiritual, theological sense. I'm talking figuratively, okay? I know I have some atheists that are going to get triggered by me saying that, but I would never condemn anybody to hell. I'm not one of those types of people, but we'll use it as an expression. There's a special place in hell for someone like this, okay? I'm just saying. I am just saying.
An absolute fucking ray of sunshine. Did any of you hear the hatred and disdain in her voice and think, yes, this is exactly the motivational pick-me-up I was looking for?
So I didn't hear hate and disdain. I just heard kind of like yelling a little bit and in brutal truth. She didn't say, you women that are fat are so disgusting and so horrible. She didn't say, you're a fat POS. She didn't say, get up, you're a lazy piece of crap. She did say that to a certain extent. I do think she did mention laziness. Let me see. Let's hear it one more time.
Okay, being fat. You're just accepting it because you don't want to do the work to get unfat.
Okay, so she's saying that, you know, she didn't call somebody lazy. She said you don't want to do the work. So that's saying that somebody's deciding not to do it for whatever reason. And I don't know. I guess you could say it's a distinction without a difference. I see it as a little bit different because, in my opinion, she wasn't saying it in a stereotypical way. It was just like, you know, to me, it didn't seem super fat shaming. It just seemed like nobody wants to be fat. And it's kind of like a generalization. It's a rhetorical device, which a lot of people use. A lot of FAs use it as well. But the thing is, I think it was mostly true. I think it was pretty much straight up fact. Like, I think a lot of people that do accept that they're fat, they don't want to do the work, regardless of what it is. Or maybe they have tried and maybe they tried the wrong thing, but they don't want to look for what works, or they don't want to keep looking for what will work. That was not my case. For me, I was going to look until I found it, basically. I was never going to stop looking. But I get it. Not everybody is like me, you know? So anyways, to me, that wasn't that bad. It was like pretty basic and pretty like real world, living in reality speech. Because I think pretty much everything she said is true. It might not be a truth that people want to hear, but it wasn't like horrifically cruel or anything like that, in my opinion. Now, you guys let me know if she blew you out of the water. By all means, we can disagree on this. but I didn't think it was that bad, especially not for this reaction. Okay. So, from his face and all that, I didn't think it warranted all that. I just thought it was like, well, that was kind of my take on it. So, let's see what he says.
Well, aren't you a treat? An absolute fucking ray of sunshine.
And aren't you just so genuine?
Did any of you hear the hatred and disdain in her voice and think, yes, this is exactly the motivational pick-me-up I was looking for. Thank you, oh wise one. It makes me sad that people weaponize feelings of shame and leverage them into a sales tactic.
So it's interesting to me is that he literally has his book in the background, and I think he's kind of like, I feel like he's trying to convince me to feel shame by what she said. Now, I'm not a woman, but I don't want to be the duff either. Okay, I don't. I know we joked about it a lot over this winter. This is my duff winter because on this channel I've talked a lot about how I'm currently a mid-fat, which is kind of like the duffy stage of being fat. It's where it's like you're not thin enough to be attractive to the mainstream and you're not fat enough to be attracted to the chubby chasers. So you're just there. You're the duff. And it's duffy winter for me. So I don't want to be the duff. I don't. I didn't grow up and I didn't think, I want to be Duffy in winter of 2024. That was never on my agenda. I didn't want to have to cover up at the pool, or I didn't want to, I don't know. Of course I wanted to look my best. Who doesn't? I think that's a natural thing. That being said, from the perspective of my 30s, I want to be alive a long time. I want to be able to function. I want to not be soul destroyingly depressed or unable to do work or unable to have relationships with people because I'm too crazy, because my hormones are all out of whack. I don't want any of those things. I don't want to have to piece together a false reality out of an ideology that is so clearly fake to exist and function in the day. I'd rather just put that work into getting healthier rather than sustaining an ideology like fat acceptance.
But many of these aren't reflective of your weight at all, but preying on your insecurities of self-confidence and how others...
So I don't really know what point he's trying to make there, because she said specifically fat. So I get it, like maybe fat is subjective, or, it's a more subjective word. I would have preferred if she said obese, morbidly obese. I would have preferred that. I think it would have been clearer, because I think that's kind of what she was trying to push, to portray. Now, whenever these professionals look at the issue of fatness, they almost completely delete obesity and supermorbid obesity out of their mind. Like it doesn't exist. So they act as if every time somebody says something, they're saying it about a person who's maybe 5 pounds overweight. That's how he's acting. But that's not what I hear. That's not what you guys probably hear either. So it comes across as like very echo chambery and strange for his response, in my opinion.
people might treat you. You might not love your own body or love pictures of yourself, or you might feel embarrassed to be in swimwear at the swimming pool. But if your partner is ignoring you and constantly ogling other people, get a new partner.
So I find it interesting that that's kind of the approach of this person, just because, like, imagine if somebody's been married for like 20 years. Like, she said your husband, she said, like, you know, you have a whole family with them, and he's just like, just leave, just go. I just don't understand that. You know, I think it's perfectly okay to take care of yourself, not just for yourself, but for your spouse, and just like keep it together. I would hope that he keeps it together for you too. you should do your best. Everybody should do their best. I don't understand why this is so alien. Like, are we supposed to just like, I just don't get it. I don't know. I feel like I'm losing this logic. You know, I want to just have a happy real life and have like a happy marriage where we're both genuinely attracted to each other. Is that like impossible? I don't know. It's just weird, right? Like, am I going crazy? This is what watching this stuff does to you. That's why I'm filming this tonight, because I want you guys to see the effect of this like assault on my morale of watching fat acceptance TikTok does. Gosh.
Feel at the pool is not the same thing as what your body looks like. Many people have a much higher body fat percentage than me, but can rock swimwear with a hell of a lot more confidence than I do. And if you have an issue with your body image and self-confidence, I don't think that shouty McShoutface making you feel like shit is going to be the therapeutic remedy you were looking for. I swear, a lot of fitness professionals think that hatred and shame are the most effective motivational tactic.
Again, I don't think that was that hateful. And it's not really, I didn't feel like it was about shaming. She was kind of just talking about common feelings, which maybe he doesn't understand that, but it's just common feelings. And she's basically saying like, you don't need to feel that way. Just do something about it. I don't take anything that he says seriously because, like I told you guys, I think he's just like essentially a human algorithm. He's almost like a robot. It's like he's taking comments and he's just going to make the content based on whatever most people are saying. But in terms of the fat acceptance ideology, I find it like don't a lot of people feel those insecurities? Wouldn't you want to do something about it? I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. Like, I've seen a lot worse in terms of shaming and stuff. It wasn't really like that. It was just like cutting the BS and just saying what is really there. You know? Am I supposed to lie on here and tell you guys that I love being this fat? Because I don't. I don't constantly hate it. But you would not catch me dead at a swimming pool without a shirt on. Absolutely not. Under any circumstance, that will never happen. And I'm not going to act like it is going to happen. Does that make sense? I don't know. Anyways, let's continue.
They are.
Let's talk.
So this person, this one I'm going to let a lot of it play because it's long, but I wanted us to just, I want you to hear how much of an echo chamber this woman is in. I want you to hear her try to indoctrinate somebody else into this. It was, yeah, I'm not going to say too much before. Let's just start it. So I'm going to let it go for probably like around a minute or two before I interrupt.
Unpacking your own fat phobia. Now, first of all, when I use the word fat in this video, I'm using it as a neutral descriptor. Just as I would say the word thin, fat, they are neutral. They have no moral code to them. Now, our society does not see those words the same way. So also you'll hear me use interchangeably fat and those who reside in a larger body, because some people that reside in a larger body don't reclaim the word fat and still think that the word fat is bad.
So we are starting with a lot of disclaimers. I forgot to say she's a registered dietitian. Okay, so keep that in mind. This person is a registered dietitian. I want you guys to really see that. So imagine a super morbid obese person is going to her. Imagine that you're super morbidly obese and you're going to her for answers. Okay? Now let's keep watching.
Now, why I'm bringing this up is because I had an acquaintance call me yesterday. I have not talked to this person in a few years. And they kind of came back into my life and they're like, I love what you're doing on Instagram. I need to pick your brain. And I was like, why not give them a call back? So this person came to me and said, I know you're going to hate everything that I'm saying, but I want to be really, really honest with you, and I just want to hear how you react to this. She went on to tell me that she was dating a man that was in a very large body. She absolutely loved his personality. She loved everything about him. But she sat him down and told him that he needs to get healthy, he needs to lose weight, he like, etc., etc. And now they're on a break, and she is recognizing that she has her own shit that she needs to work through. Now, let me start by saying this is absolutely weight stigma, right? Coming to a person who has full body autonomy and telling them what they need to do with their body. Of course, if you are a partner to someone, you can be concerned about somebody's health, but then that unravels a whole nother deeper conversation how the size of our body does not directly correlate to our health status. We'll save that for another day. Let's pocket that. So she came to me and she was like, I don't know what to do, but I watch your videos and I just feel like I want to hear how you'd have to respond. And
How are you guys doing? So you can see there's a whole culture to this. So when I hear that this person is very fat, that means that he's probably so overweight that his health is in imminent danger. Okay? So this person is probably, in my estimation, at least morbidly obese, possibly even super morbidly obese. For her to say very large, he must be very large. Okay? So imagine that this person probably has health issues already, realistically, with being that size. And this woman, she's into him, she likes him, everything, but she doesn't really want to commit to him because he's unhealthy. But she's upset about it because it's a difficult place to be. It's kind of like a situation where sometimes you're really into somebody and there are just irreconcilable differences, or there's just, something like addiction, for example, or there's something where it's like maybe they're not going to be around for a long time, or maybe, there's just so many different examples where it can be very complicated. These can be really complicated questions in life. And I do think that giving her advice, like, she's obviously looking for advice. And I think that that is something that she needs. I don't know if this person is the right person to go to. I would just tell her love is complicated, love is difficult. It's also rewarding. You can't control somebody else. So love ultimately is not about control or fear. And so if you love him, you have to accept that you can't control him, just as he would have to accept that he can't control you either, because that isn't love. And I would just say, I would hope that maybe feeling loved could inspire him to change or to turn things around, or maybe just him not feeling so alone. Maybe it would be enough, but it would be a whole conversation about how to approach it, how to talk to the person. I think most of the time when really, really big people, a lot of times they don't have any love for themselves. And sometimes it does take being loved to feel love for yourself. I do think that. I know that that's toxic by a lot of people's standards. I think it's kind of like that. It goes very much against the neoliberal, feministy, millennial 90s, 2000s rhetoric that a lot of my generation grew up with. But I think that sometimes we do have to feel love to understand how to love ourselves, which I think is, there's probably a lot more people that agree with that statement now. So, You never know. You never know what the power of love can do, especially true unconditional love. But that's kind of a deep philosophical conversation that this woman needs to have. She doesn't need to be going to this woman. This woman she doesn't even acknowledge the health issues in the room. She doesn't acknowledge the elephant in the room. She just says it's weight stigma. It's not very empathetic, to say the least. But it's interesting when I hear her rant like this, she has to rehearse. She has to kind of refresh and rehearse all these different talking points in her head because they're so unnatural and they're so divorced from reality that she has to repeat and say all of the systems of thought so she can reinforce it and hold it back up in a very 1984 style. That's what I'm seeing as well. Now let's continue.
Like, what would you think if you saw this person? Like, if you saw my boyfriend in a room, like, what would you think about him by looking at him? And I said, I'm going to be really honest with you. If you asked me this question 10 to 15 years ago,
pre-brainwashing,
I would have said, he's lazy. He doesn't take care of himself. He needs to lose weight, because I was fat phobic. I was raised in...
The only thing that I would disagree with is the lazy part. You don't know if a fat person is lazy. A lot of fat people are not lazy. So that is a stereotype that is not always true. There are plenty of fat people that are lazy, but I would just say you can't assume right away. But as far as he needs to take care of himself and he needs to lose weight, those are absolute facts. So, yeah.
Society that told me that people in larger bodies were lazy, were unworthy, were bad, were unhealthy. Now, because I'm a registered dietitian and certified in...
So I wouldn't say unworthy, but I would say unhealthy. So it's interesting to me how she's lumping these two, like she's lumping true things with untrue things. It's very interesting.
Counselor who has spent years unpacking my bias and my belief system and
brainwashing. Spent years being brainwashed.
And it is still a life's journey and life's work. It's
because it takes a lot to hold up an entire system of lies. You have to constantly repeat the same lies over and over and over again, because if you don't, then reality will peek through and you'll be like, oh, I just remembered reality. And so then you have to do it again, because this is her livelihood. This is her brand. Very interesting, isn't it?
Never done. It's never over. It's something that if I walked into a room and saw a person...
Yeah, it's never done or over because it's not real. That's what it is. It isn't real. That's why it's never done.
And their body usually isn't something that even crosses my mind.
That's false. So everybody looks at everybody's body when we meet somebody. I think she's lying, but if she brainwashed herself where she looks at somebody and she sees like an ethereal cloud, right, of nothing, or she only hears a disembodied voice, like think about what she just said. I don't even think about their body. You know how unnatural that is to not, even just from a purely biological standpoint, especially as a woman. I would think she would look at each person and assess a potentiality of a threat at the very least. And that would include looking at the person's body at the very least from a base survival mechanism. There is no way that that's true, in my opinion. There's no way. I think she's completely lying.
Even if it were to cross my mind, it's never a negative connotation. It's like, oh, that person.
If it were to cross my mind, if that person's body were to cross my mind, okay, sure, Jan, sure.
is large, that person is small, and it's a neutral descriptor. But to be honest, that doesn't even come up for me much. And she was mind blown by that, like seeing how, 10, 15 years ago I would have.
I'm mind blown that she didn't see that you were full of it. But maybe she's just entertaining what you're saying. I'm pretty mind blown as well.
One way versus how I am now. But why I bring all this to your attention. One, fat people have been oppressed, shamed, stigmatized for so much of their life. And we know this. And we know that weight stigma has terrible negative health effects.
So fat people do struggle. Yes. Oppression, probably not. Health issues, 100%. Not being as attractive to most people, 100%. So yes, those two things do go into play. Yes. I don't know that I would call that oppression. I would just call it reality.
But I also want to take a moment to recognize for this person who came to me, who again is an acquaintance. We connected through mutual friends years ago, but she's a lovely person. It does take courage to come forward and say, I think I caused harm. I'm now recognizing it. I have no fucking idea what to do with this because my beliefs are so deeply entrenched.
So do you see how much of, I don't know how to say this. Do you see how much, we'll call it an echo chamber. Do you see how deep it is? Isn't that wild? Isn't that kind of soul destroying a little bit? I feel like a lot of you guys in my audience like kind of dark things a little bit. Which I can be, I don't know. I can be that way too, where I like researching disturbing stuff or looking at weird stuff sometimes. Like, I don't know. I watch a bunch of murder shows with my grandma. Me and my grandma, we watch that all the time when I visit, or when she visits me. We just watch murder all the time because we're into that, that dark topics. This feels like that. It's that dark. It's on that level where I'm like, wow, like, is she lying or is her mind completely broken? I think she's probably just lying, but it's interesting. But think about the echo chamber, right? Think about somebody going to her for advice. Isn't that crazy?
This way, and I need help. And I bring this to you because...
Yes, she needs help because she's concerned that a person she loves is unhealthy. She needs help. Like, that isn't rational.
I think it's so easy as someone who works in the anti-diet space, works in the health at every size space, that when you see someone saying that, like, fat people are bad, and don't get me wrong, there's a big difference between, like, abuse and just not knowing. But this was a very specific example with this person where she really didn't get it. Like, she didn't understand how harmful it is to tell somebody that they need to shrink their body and that you're concerned about their health. Because
how is that harmful? Do you see what I'm seeing? Do you see why I feel like I died, went to hell, and then came back? This is not real. It's not real at all. You're not crazy. If you're seeing this and you're like, what the heck? You are not crazy. You are with it.
they're in a larger body. Like, so I am sharing this because it was so profound that someone would call me and say, I know I'm in the wrong. I have no idea what to fucking do about it, but I just wanted to pick your brain and I need you to be straight with me. And so I was very straight with her. I sent her tons of resources and I sent her tons of colleagues' accounts of people that I've learned from that reside in larger bodies that are doing this anti-fat bias work and have been doing the work for years, and not only do they have the professional experience, but they have the lived experience of living in a larger body. And so I say this to you because
So many buzzwords, I will just say. Doing the work, lived experience. It's very buzzwordy. Sounds very scripted.
this work is uncomfortable. It's hard, but it is necessary. And if you are someone who thinks that you want to make peace with food and make peace with your body, what comes along with that is unpacking your belief systems of all body sizes. So this is a very long rant during my lunch today, but I just can't stop thinking about this phone conversation and how I wish I had the ability to just hop on the phone with every single person that wanted to very candidly share their thoughts with me, and I could hold a non-judgmental space with no shame, no guilt, and help support them challenge their belief systems and plant seeds to come to terms that all bodies are good bodies. The size of somebody's body does not determine their health, does not determine their worth.
It doesn't determine their worth, but it absolutely can determine their health. Absolutely. So I wonder if that's one of the tactics, is to just mix true statements with untrue statements.
If you truly care about somebody and love them, and
then you'll want them to be a healthy weight. You'll want them to be within a healthy range, specifically a healthy range of body fat percentage. That's what you're going to want.
want to continue to be with them, you can support them and their
You can support them towards getting towards that, so that they can live as happily and as healthfully as possible.
relationship with their body and their relationship to health, if they want to pursue health, because health is not a moral obligation. Oh, there's so much new.
Okay, so I don't even know what she's trying to say. I don't know if she knows what she's trying to say, but I just want to ask, like, how's the salad with your word salad, girl? How's it going?
To this conversation, but I just felt like I needed to share, and I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear your
I'm sure she'd love to hear my thoughts, wouldn't she? I bet you she really would.
questions, what's coming up for you below. Thank you for being here with me.
Okay, so that was crazy. So all I wanted to do was just talk about this. I want your guys' feedback. I want to know what you think as well. Okay, I do read every comment, always. I do want to respond, but I typically think I'm going to just have to set aside like a day of the week where I respond, because my channel's growing. You guys are amazing. Anyways, look at my fake tears. I can be fake like them too. My sub count hit 1989 today. I screenshotted it. I got my Swiftie cred. No, I'm a 1989 stan, so it's my fave album. Anyways, so thank you guys so much. We're almost to 2K. We might hit it today. We might not. Now that I said that, I've like cursed it, of course. But thank you guys so much for everything. I appreciate you so much. And thank you guys so much for supporting me on my health journey. And I hope I can support you too. So that's why we're doing this. So we'll be back soon. I'm still on my fat acceptance tear. So even though tonight, it was quite a journey. Quite a journey. But I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. And don't forget to subscribe. And please tell me your thoughts, please. Bye.